Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Public Safety Courts and Civil Service Policy Committee meeting, 9 a.m. Our council goal is to ensure safe communities for people. And for those of you tuning in, you can watch on our city's YouTube channel. So I call this meeting to order. Can we get approval of the minutes? Yes, so we are approved of the minutes. Consent items. 3A. Wow. You know what? Let's just, where's our business service manager?
You guys had for 3A?
Yeah.
It's John. Mara's here. Okay.
We have picture, but no sound. Are you speaking?
That's me sharing my screen.
Oh, is Mara on here?
I didn't see her on there. I think it's red.
Okay. Okay, so we'll just go through this. So sworn staffing, currently we are at, well, according to that, 643. I'm gonna go off this. These numbers are the ones I'm familiar with our staffing. So
Okay.
we have authorized 748, current 722 with 26 vacancies. So essentially we are operating around 613. That's with modified duty and with taking out our academy and FTP. But with our class coming up in January, we should be about right around fully authorized. I think we have a class coming up in January. We're expecting between 30 to 40 within that class. We do have some laterals coming online. We have 3 in right now. We just did interviews. I think we have another 5 laterals interested in coming over to the Aurora Police Department. And then we have a few reinstatements. So for 2025, our net add was 57. So that's a good increase. And then next year, we hope to add about 120. And then it's just based on attrition. So attrition right now, in the Aurora Police Department, if you take out what we have in the academy, as you have larger academies, you're going to attrit more out of those just because if you have 40, you're going to lose a percentage of that. They're just going to determine they're not cut out for it or they're just, not a good fit. If you take out academy, we're right around a 5% attrition, where last year we were 9%, the year before that 12. So we're reducing our attrition rates, which reduce attrition, your acquisitions go up, we're making significant gains in the department. So we're really excited about that, and we're going to continue hiring to ensure that we have the highest operational numbers out there on the street because, we do have a lot in the academy. Next year, January, at that class, we'll have roughly 75 in academy and the rest operational. But then you take out your modified duties and those that are on like light duty or, have medical issues and stuff. We're going to be probably right around that 650. We want to be as close as we can to that 748 as far as operational numbers. So that 10.5% attrition up there kind of speaks to the including your academy attrition rate with your commission. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm tracking with you.
All right.
Do you have a reason why our academy classes and our retention rates are going
Yeah,
up?
so I think there's a few reasons. One, taking over the hiring process has helped us because we're able to compress that time frame. We're not sacrificing the process at all. We're doing all the same steps, but we're able to move those along at a much faster pace. So as we get interested people, we're able to communicate with them more consistently and constantly over a shorter period of time and get them hired before they end up going to another agency. So I think our ability to control that process helps significantly in reducing that time frame of interested applicants and getting them hired on before they get stolen away by another agency. So that has been significant for us. Another thing is I think just what's happening here in Aurora is really attracting young people and lateral officers and college graduates to come here into law enforcement because we're doing police work. We're out there, we're affecting crime. They're seeing the impact we're having on the community. And I think with our newest generations, they want to see the value in something. So coming on and seeing the impact they're having in reducing crime and being able to use the latest technology to impact crime, those things I think are attracting people to Aurora, and that's been hugely beneficial. And then I think just the chief's message out when we have critical incidents or cases, significant cases, and how he gets out in front of it. He's very transparent with the media and tells the story. And within the organization, I think culturally, it's been really positive. Morale's been really positive. We're changing policies that are allowing officers to be more effective in the community of impacting crime. So by that, one example is our pursuit policy. And I think we're seeing significant benefits from going after these offenders and realizing that the people we're going after have extensive criminal histories. They're on probation, they're on parole. They're not just committing a motor vehicle theft, they're committing other crimes. And if you're taking them off the street, they're not able to commit those other crimes. That's reducing our crime. And if you're a young person who's deciding where you want to go be a police officer, you want to go fight crime. And we're doing that here in Aurora, and I think that's attracting people.
Yeah, well done. Great. Anything else on that one? Okay. Anything?
No, that's good. Thank you so much.
So I guess we'll just stay with you and go to special operations and we'll just go down the list. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Madam Chair, you're the chair.
I
You tell us
just
how
want
you
to hear
want to do it.
everything. So let's just go down the list, shall we?
Let's go down the agenda. That's good.
Let's go down the agenda.
All right, so do you want to first talk about our crime
Yes.
statistics?
Yes,
So currently we're, and I'll kind of compress this information into kind of some of our higher level crimes. So murder, we're down 21% in murders. Last year we were at 33. This year to date, 26. Our non-fatal shootings, we've seen a significant decrease in those. We're over a 50% reduction in those. Last year at this time, we were at 89. This year, we're at, and actually I think it says 43 up there, 42. 42 is accurate. We were at 43, but one of those was determined to be a self-inflicted. So more than half reduction in non-fatals. And the year prior to that, we ended 2 years ago, we ended at 155 non-fatals. We went down to 100, ended last year right around 100 non-fatals. And this year we have an opportunity to cut that in half again.
Wow.
So that's a significant decrease in people. Each one of those is a person affected, impacted by violence. And that's a significant reduction. Robberies, again, we're seeing a 34% reduction in that. 469 year to date last year, 306 this year. So that's over 150, or 163 less people impacted by robbery when you compare last year to this year. Motor vehicle theft, the same thing. 2,926 year to date last year. 1,698 so far this year. So a 42% reduction in motor vehicle theft.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Is this posted on the website anywhere?
Yeah, we
You
have it
all
on
put
our, we do have our dashboards up with all of that information available to the public. Yeah.
It's updated?
Yeah, and it's updated.
And we posted on the city Facebook as well.
Yeah, they've,
This is amazing.
our APDPI has been a great job doing not only kind of case pieces, but also some of those year-to-date crime numbers. We've been doing some nice stories on that, but we'll circle back with them. I think we did one a couple of weeks ago. Remember when we were talking about our year-to-date crime? So we continue to do that. They continue to highlight instances where our officers have done great jobs in terms of, just responding to very difficult circumstances. So I think the PIO is really trying to get out in advance of this and tell our story.
That's really important data. I mean, the public needs to know that crime is actually down. I just saw an article recently about Aurora crime being down and how great a place our city is to live. So it's in no small part to what our officers and the whole police department have been doing. So, yeah.
And we've gotten a lot of great community feedback about the efforts within the community that we're out and about. You know, a lot of community members are appreciative, and I think they've seen some of these crime numbers and you know, are you know, really seeing the benefits of some of the hopes that we push forward.
Great.
Another trend, I'm not going to go into the granular, but arrests are significantly up. So we are more active, affecting arrests. And you can just look at the motor vehicle thefts. What was happening before is we'd have a stolen vehicle, it would flee. Our officers would try to stop it initially, and then the car would just get away. Now, we're arresting those individuals, you know, so our arrest of individuals with significant criminal histories that are stealing motor vehicles, we're arresting those individuals, getting them off the street. Our arrests are up and our use of forces are down. You know, I think that speaks to the community understanding, you know, what's permitted and what's not permitted. You know, like you break the law, you're going to be held accountable and you're going to be arrested. So we're not getting the same levels of resistance that we did when it was more of a blurred line of what are the officers going to do and what's the boundary that we can push officers to where they actually do use force. Now it's very clear. You know, you will be arrested, and I think there's more compliance that's coming out of that, and thus reducing our use of forces. We also, you know, employing de-escalation. We're training on that constantly, and really care about our community interactions and try to avoid using force at all costs. But we will if necessary.
Is retail theft in here in this area or
Thefts overall, it is on the. If we go back,
theft?
theft is
Go back one more.
retail
Go back one
theft
more.
is down.
Again,
Okay, go.
So I want to make
It's the bottom
sure.
So retail thefts on there, larceny, shoplift, we have a 15% reduction in that. So last year at this time, we were at about 2,100. This year, we're at right around 1,700. So about 310 less last year compared to this year at this time.
Any idea of, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, any idea of what may be driving that? Do you think it's, I mean, are you finding, are people that are getting arrested, are they aware of the penalties that we have in the city?
Yes, they are. And we have taken a very proactive approach to retail theft. We actually, each district has a person designated to retail theft and are communicating better with the stores. We're also doing more deterrence initiatives. So if we identify like Target is getting hit or we're seeing an increase, we're putting out decoy cars. We're, you know, doing operations at those locations. Our PAR unit, our DART units, they're all kind of coming together with investigations to kind of have a more strategic approach to addressing that issue. And then once they identify the individuals involved, we're working with the DA's office or the city attorney's office to figure out where best this lives, what the maximum penalty they're going to get is, and then, you know, seeing that case through. So having detectives that are more versed in how to navigate that is helping us getting better results out of that. But I think what we've seen is you'll see an ebb and flow, and it's these same actors that are getting put away. And we saw some of we had the ones that were hitting Nike. We had some groups that were hitting some other locations. We actually put some good cases on them. We got some time, like a year, you know, incarcerated for up to a year, and then they're getting back out. And now we're seeing some more shoplifts. So it's the same individual, a small group committing our crime, and we're re-identifying them and then putting, you know, more cases on them. But yes, they are aware of the penalties, but they know what the limitations of that still are.
Madam Chair. It seems like there is an uptick in off-duty employment.
Yes.
Officers in retail. Is that, to what extent is that making a difference?
Yeah, I think absolutely it is. You know, just with, we just had a meeting with Walmart recently, and you know, we are seeing a downtrend overall. That it's still a significant problem within our community. I'm not going to say it's not. You know, retail theft is a huge problem. Some of it is, you know, how much the businesses are helping us be more effective, and Walmart's been a great partner There's some other, smaller businesses that have been hit that we haven't, created those relationships with that we're trying to. Once we do, we'll be more effective in our enforcement of retail theft. But just with Walmart, we're seeing a trend over the summer down into this fall, which is positive. We want to continue that. I think having the off duty, I think we're going to be having we're definitely having the holiday overtime coming up. And I think we got 5 or 6 locations where we're going to have marked units out there. They're going to be walking patrols. They're not just out there to be visible, they're also going to be proactive. And that's having a huge impact on reducing.
Well, how is it that, but if you only have one officer posted at a store, is it mostly just the deterrent effect of them seeing that officer? Because
Go talk a little bit about the changing policy.
Yeah.
they can't go hands-on unless there's another officer.
Yeah, we are mandating 2 officers at those locations.
Oh, there are 2 officers at the location?
Yeah, it was a policy change where one, it's an officer safety issue. 2, it makes them more effective because when you have 2 officers working in concert with security, you can,
Okay.
you can be more effective. And yes, they are catching more shoplifters because of that.
Because they're kind of partnering with the in-store
Yeah,
security
security, yeah.
folks too.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I asked is because we're coming into the holiday season and
Yeah.
it's prime target for this type of activity. So want to make sure that our businesses are not being
And there-
hammered.
There is a deterrence effect to that, seeing 2 officers versus 1. There's also, I think we're catching more because when it's easy to avoid 1 officer. And 1 officer is going to take certain safety precautions and whether or not they're going to chase somebody on foot, how, you're willing to do more as a pair. You can chase down 2 different people. If there's 2 people that are fleeing, 2 officers, at least you have, even numbers, 2 of you can protect one another. And I think we're catching more and we're also deterring more.
Yes, sir.
So, Mark, are you seeing that the businesses are really supportive of what the city has done as far as the changes in our city code, everything else? They're ecstatic that we're holding these individuals accountable.
They are. I just hear, I think the more we can do, the more they're happy with it. And the steps that we've taken so far has really, I think, provided them confidence in the fact of being here in Aurora, having their business, that there's penalties for people that take advantage of them, that are going to steal from them, and that the police department now has some ability to hold them accountable by arresting them, and then the penalties that are coming after that are effective, and not only holding them accountable for that theft, but a deterrence moving forward.
And are you seeing the signs? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, are you still seeing the signs that say, hey, you're in Aurora, if you steal, you're going to jail?
Yeah.
Are you guys still seeing those coming out in the stores? Because I know when we first started this, we saw the big, I know you may not know, but
Yeah, I have heard that those are still, but I don't know, how much they're still
But
pushing.
what I've
those
been
out.
seeing is the ones in King Supers, it's $100, you will be arrested, you will be prosecuted. And I think it's in the King Supers on Parker
Go to
Road.
jail.
So
Yeah.
if we,
Where's it?
I think that-
as you go in the store, as you're going in the store, and then they have the audibles that say, lock your car, be aware of your surroundings, ... They're telling people, be aware, because a lot of times people just aren't aware. And then the partnership between the retailers, putting up the no trespassing signs, putting up this if you theft, this is what's going to happen. Especially this time of the year, encouraging retailers to do that, especially our larger ones to do that, because they seem to be the targets most often. To let people know, we are not fooling around. This is what's happening.
Even with a small business, every time I go and check with them, they're really happy with, APD's response, and even a small business, so
Yeah,
I'm so glad that you guys are out there and,
yeah.
catching these bad guys, but they are very happy, I can
That's
tell.
good. That's good to hear. You're interacting with
Yeah.
community members of these business owners probably just as much as we are, if not more, on a lot of occasions. So it's good to hear that you're hearing that as well. I do think that may be something that we continue to communicate out to businesses from your side and our side. Hey, post that stuff. The more you put up those signs saying what the penalties are, especially now that initially it was up a lot. I think it may have fallen off, and some businesses are continuing to do that. But a reminder that is a deterrence to post that up so they know what the penalties are. I also think a huge thing that's impacted this is our HEART team. Because what we found is like some of these encampments were established in areas, and around those encampments, we would start to have small criminality coming out of that. And we saw that with the Nike. That was associated to some encampments there and some individuals within those encampments that were committing more of a pattern retail theft, more of a retail theft organization. So regardless of whether there's criminality within that encampment or not, Hart's team to disrupt those encampments, have them move along, not allow them to get established and start to get some structure and organization within them has helped, I think, significantly with retail theft and kept them moving or, always not able to establish roots in a particular area and then start maybe taking advantage of that area.
Jason, city manager, do we have those signs? We had that signage at first that we were handing out. Do we still have that available?
I don't know, we were handing it out.
They were making them, right?
They're making them themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I know Target started, they made them, and they put them in their foyer, so.
You know, the King Supers had done some, thinking of the smaller businesses that could be
I mean,
victimized.
maybe they can provide, some of those.
We'll see if there's interest in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, let's see if there is interest in that. I encourage you to either reach out to me or reach out to APD to see if we can help make sure this, I think deterrence in signage could be helpful during this time of the year, especially as lots of people are moving about, lots of activity. We want to make sure everybody's still safe. Well done, Chief. Thank you. We talked about motor vehicle theft. Is Tina Brunetta, are you on? I see your face. Let's talk a little bit
Good
about.
morning.
Good morning. Let's talk about emergency communications and what your organization does for us. Fantastic.
Well, it's good to see you. And so we're plugging right along. We do have an academy class that is in process right now. And so we are planning to be at full staff. We are showing a couple of vacancies in our vacancy report. However, we have selected a couple of new communication supervisors. They're going through their background process. And so we're just moving along. Things are going relatively well. We're continuing to adapt to the new police protocol, and that data is now really beginning to flow through. Talking about I see that we have our report up here. So we are roughly at a 21% attrition rate for the year.
That's for last year. Go ahead and go to the next slide.
Oh, sorry, go to the next one. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. So
There you go.
Yep, so we're at 16. I'm wearing progressives, guys, so bear with me. The struggle's real. So 16.95%. We are anticipating losing a few more members of our team in the next couple of months to the Aurora Police Department as they're joining their next academy class. So we're excited for them. Yeah, excited for them and for the city, sad for us, but we still continue to be able to work with those individuals, and we're really happy for them and support their movement into their dream job. So that's wonderful. Go ahead and move to the next slide, Ines. And so really what we're continuing to do is just continue professional development. We're continuing to provide training, education, opportunities for growth. We're continuing to work on improving just really how we're providing service, looking for efficiencies, but also working on giving all of our operational staff or line level employees more of an active voice in driving forward process changes or policy improvements. And so we're actively in the process right now of standing up a couple of working groups. One is internal, and then one partners with our friends in police and fire to bring line level employees together to talk about the work that they all do together and allow them a voice in bringing forward ideas for ways to improve how we do business. So we're excited to get that started soon, and I look forward to having data on how that drives change in our organization. But I think that it's the move in the right direction, and I think it's really reflective of the partnership that we have with Chief Otten and Aurora Fire Rescue and Chief Chamberlain and the police department. All of that is important. And I personally think that this is flowing better than it has in all the time that I've been with the city. So I'm really grateful. One thing, one item of interest for everyone is, I was recently looking at statistics for year to date in 25 versus 24. And interestingly, our department has received 35,000 fewer 911 calls in 25 than we did in 24 for the same period of time. I don't really have a straight shot or a black and white equation to tell you why that's happening. But looking at the data that is happening with our partners, what I think may be happening here is it's really the impact of like that increased patrol presence, the increase in the proactive policing efforts, and the ability to intervene criminal activity, as Chief Hildebrand was talking about earlier. I think that's incredibly important. And so if I had to guess, I would say that we're receiving fewer calls because we're intercepting individuals who are perpetuating crime. And so there are fewer calls to need to be made to us. That's speculative, but I like that story. So I'm going to repeat that. I think that it's worth noting and aligning with the statistics of the police department. So just want you to be aware of that. Obviously, we're watching these stats very closely, and the way that calls are occurring, the way that reports are happening in 911 are also beginning to shift. I talked previously about us plateauing and beginning to trend down in voice calls. And so I just watching this closely to understand what the landscape of emergency notifications or requests for service, what that looks like now and into the future. What questions do you have for me this morning?
So, first of all, I'm still stressing out that you have me scheduled, I think, to be a call taker for one evening.
Yes.
And so I'm having trouble with that. But outside of that, what I am concerned about the attrition rate. Is that pretty much, when I go up there and sit beside your call takers, it's pretty stressful. I mean, for them, not just for me. And is that attrition rate normal across the country, or where do we fit in that?
So within the industry, it really does run between like 17 and 25% annually in the 911 profession. It's been that way for as long as I can remember. And so a slight uptick. And I'm, thinking about the reasons why we had an individual retire. We did have some unusual movement this year with attrition, just related to performance management and needing to take action. So that is a little unusual. And then typically where we see our attrition is in the initial training phase. So even individuals who think, I really want to do this, when they get into it and understand the complexity, that's typically where we're losing people. So what I will tell you is that once we get past the one to 2 year mark, and I should pull that number because we are not having turnover in that group of people. So we're still proud to say we have a number of people that have 15 years and more with the department. And that is actually something that's unusual because the average lifespan of the career in 911 is 5 years. So, while we're having that turnover, we're noticing that that's happening earlier. We do have a lot of longevity, and that reassures me that there's not something systemic that's causing that necessarily, but I do believe that any turnover is an opportunity for us to evaluate all of our processes, whether it's how we're testing and onboarding people to ensure that we're bringing in people who their eyes are wide open and they have a good understanding of what the job entails, or can we enhance the training process in the beginning to ensure that people who are exposed to traumatic crisis calls or exposed to shift work for the first time. Shift work is a big deal because no one really likes working overnights, but we're a 24-hour operation. So that always causes rub with employment. And I don't know really how to get around that. That's been the $1 million question, for the last 3 decades of my life. But that's really how I see turnover happening in the department, but across the nation in our industry.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well done, Tina. Thank you so much. I am gonna come over and sit with you. I'm not gonna
Please.
take calls. The mayor's he's that guy. I'm just gonna watch.
I don't know. I feel like you could do a really good job. And Mayor Kaufman, you know that your chair is waiting for you. Your headset's waiting for you. And all we need is for you to let us know when. I mean, we can work out a really nice arrangement with you if you want to make that a regular visit.
It'll be my luck. I'll be on the call and somebody will be having a baby. I mean, I know how that happens, but I don't want to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? Thank you very much, Tina. Appreciate it.
Of course, you bet.
Okay. Aurora Fire Retention Report, Chief Otten.
Morning.
You're up, sir.
I think a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So you can see the downward trend in what I would call incumbent attrition. So these are the members we've already spent, the $200,000 to put them through training and where retention is really a pretty high priority. And so you can see that while we still project higher levels based on our analysis of who's eligible for retirement, those kinds of things, we are not coming close to our projections with our incumbent members. Those are the ones represented in the blue. And so as you can see, since 2022, then what I'm interested in really since 2023, when I got here, you've seen a pretty steady decline in the number of incumbent members who have chosen to leave the organization. Interestingly, you will see an increase in the number of people who we lose in the academy. And we have lots of conversations in that space around why we lose folks in the academy. I think that my assessment after going and visiting is really there's no wiggle room in the standard that we ask out of our recruits that are coming in to care for this community. And that if they're not meeting the standard, they're going to be forced to meet that standard the day they graduate from the academy, their minimum staffing. And they're going to have to come out and their skill set's going to be tested. And so we're simply not willing to let people graduate from the academy who aren't meeting that standard. Also interesting is that we have a fair amount of attrition within the first 2 weeks of the academy. And I think I don't know, Mark, you guys experienced that too, where people come in perhaps expecting one thing and end up finding another, right? That we require you to be an industrial athlete, that you're going to be put in really stressful, both physical and emotional and mental situations as part of this work. And so as we start to prepare you for that coming out, I think a lot of people, there's a little bit of shock and awe as far as what they expected and what they're finding. So with the city manager's support, we're actually this round for our academy that starts in July, we're working on a pre-hire process where we use the civil service process, but we'll onboard potential candidates 5 weeks before the academy, and they'll go through a weekend program where every Saturday they will go through a day in the life of the academy for the 5 weeks leading up to the actual start date. And what this will do is before they leave their current employment, right, turn in their resignation, they have an opportunity to experience what the academy is going to be like with very little risk or exposure for us. With the goal of day one of the academy, we start with a group of people who are fully aware of what they're getting themselves into. So we have the opportunity to graduate with an academy that's full of people who understand the expectations and what's going to be asked of them during that plan. So I'm excited to see the decline in our incumbent member attrition. I'm not upset about us weeding through the people who are really the cream that rises to the top during the academy process. I'd prefer to do that before we actually invest so much in them, especially if it's a personal decision about expectations, unmatched expectations. So that's pretty exciting. We are a little bit below our 5%. We project about 5.3% attrition every year, 5.4. We're well below that with our incumbent, but we expect an attrition rate of 23 people a year from our incumbent staff and maybe 7 a year from our academy. Those numbers are kind of flipped, but we still got a net gain of +8 this year. And we're currently, just for our complement, we're overhired by 7 FTEs. And part of that was to make sure that we were prepared should the city council approve the opening of Station 18. Thank you. That we would be as close to staffing that station as we could be. So our plan for 2026 is that the first half of the year, we're going to heavily focus on lateral fast track academy members just to get us up to full par, including the staffing required for Station 18. And then we plan to start a full academy in July of 2026 to cover any incumbent attrition that we have through the first half of 2026, plus the staffing required if we open Station 19 in 2027. And I'm happy to answer your questions.
Is retirement part of attrition?
Retirement is part of attrition, yes, sir.
So, are we losing people to other departments?
I don't think we're losing people to other departments. Most of the people who are leaving here, you saw the announcement of Chief Weber's retirement last Friday, are people who have served here for 25 to 35 years and they're moving on to greener pastures. And I guess what everybody tells me is the best job in the world, which is being retired. So yeah, we're not losing people. And we have our local 1290 leadership here. I think I'd let them speak to the kind of previous wave of people who are leaving here and going to Denver and South Metro. I just don't think we're seeing that. I don't know if you want to.
Occasionally we see folks leave for family reasons. They might go back to, they're originally from Oregon. They want to go back to Oregon to take care of a family member. So I think that's probably what I've seen more recently, rather than. Yeah, it's mostly retirements.
So they don't think another department's better than ours.
Well, they would be wrong.
They
But,
would
I mean,
they
so-
would be wrong.
But they're allowed to
They
be
would
wrong and go to the junior varsity team. But I think I think we're doing a good job of taking care. I think they're seeing the opportunities that exist here to care for the community. And they're seeing support from city leadership, both elected and in the city manager's office, to help us better cover and serve the community. And all those things demonstrate a high level of support for the public safety infrastructure in the city. And I think that means a lot to people who have dedicated their careers to that work. So I think and I hope that that's what people are seeing and reading and what's making it a really good place to have a long career and not have to worry about bouncing around from department to department.
I think which would help retention into the academy, because I did the workout on the first day, kind of have that hose bound, on your shoulder and then run up that tower 4 different times. I think if you take that and replace it with yoga. And I was walking the 4th time, but I think that your retention would help.
I'd have to send out a survey to the community to see whether or not they would want the first in engine doing yoga in their front yard during the hose lineup. But I think it would be.
Hancock's idea. I didn't come up with it.
Yeah, that's what happened. I was, so to your point about the 5-week pre-training, that helps for physicality. That's primarily the focus in that? Is it primarily
I
that?
think it's both a physical component. It's what the content of the academy is going to be. I think there's a lot of people in our community who don't know all of the things that we do, right? And you see Aurora Fire, you're thinking that we just go to fires. There's a heavy medical component. We're working closely with our police partners to navigate behavioral health crises out online. Well, once you start to see all of the things, hazardous materials, we tell them a lot about, I know police does safety and survival training where you get to see what the risks are that you actually face. We teach them a lot about carcinogens and how that's going to impact them, the things that we do to try and prevent people from getting cancer, heart disease. I think there's an awakening that occurs perhaps in those early stages when you start to learn about the risks associated with the career you're getting into. And so they will self-select out in a lot of ways. We hope to cover those things early on, from the physicality to the mental toll to the health toll that this job may take on you early on, so people can ring the bell, so to speak, before we actually start the full academy.
Yeah, because it seemed like, I mean, with it, does the screening process need to be adjusted at all? Well, I think that showing up early, because I think that some of those recruits, when I went through the physical part, were in shock on that first day. But they were told, they were sent stuff in advance, but I think it was online to say, yeah, these are the things you need to do to get ready for the academy. Some of them didn't work quite ready. But what is it for the laterals? What do they have to do? What is it, abbreviated?
For them to go through what we call the Fast Track Academy, there's an application process. Obviously, we check references, but then they go through a skills, called a skills rodeo. And that's where we evaluate the level of skill, because all academies are not created equal. And so there are some that are really light on the content, particularly the skills content. And so we want to measure whether or not that academy was robust enough for them to move into the Fast Track Academy, which is 6 weeks. So we can get them out on the street really quickly if they have the skills from their previous academy that meet our standards.
I mean, do you need to look at some of the screening processes? Because how many, I mean, you have, there's got to be 100 applicants for every slot.
We get north of 750 applications every year, and that's passive. Where we're really trying to double down. I don't think there's a flaw in the recruitment process. I think in the hiring process, I think where we could work harder is on the recruiting end, is going out and really communicating with people, letting them know what the expectations of the job are, but doing that in an honest, open way. So we just implemented, we now have 2 lieutenants who are in charge of our recruitment process, where previously we had 1 firefighter that was in the recruitment office. And we're doubling down on actually the outreach, bridge building to different people who really match our values. And one of the strategies is really focusing on NCAA member schools, because they value a lot of the things that we value: practice, physical fitness, education, and teamwork. And so that's a really, really great, really fertile ground for us to plant seeds about this industry. And I think if we do that, you don't need to recruit 800 people. You need to recruit 30 really strong candidates who share your core values. And so that's what we're looking at to try and strengthen the academies that we get in place, is on the recruitment end. And that's really where they get an opportunity to meet us. We should be implementing the candidate physical abilities test here this year. So that's another piece of where we get to make those connections with candidates early and often.
How big do you think the class will be this summer?
Probably be 30 to 35 in July.
That's a good sized class. Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Chief?
No, ma'am, thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. We'll go now to Eric Givens, our interim deputy court administrator. You're up, my good sir.
Hello, how are you? So I'm just going to give you a quick snapshot on where we're at since we removed the DVs. You can go to the next slide. So right now, right there, it's giving you our figures. Our total DV cases at 2008. Our active DV warrants are at 997, and our DV cases on probation are 299. You see under the number of 2008, there's another number, 1,648. That's for you, Councilwoman. I'm going to explain that in our next slide. Right there, it's broken down again. So we got 997 active warrants. Again, we got pending dispositions, and that's what cases are in pretrial phase, awaiting the final resolution, such as plea agreements, dismissal, or setting a trial date. The next one is 336, pending sentence completion. And the definition for that is individuals have been convicted or pled guilty and are currently serving a court-ordered sentence, typically involving probation, treatment, or restitution. And the last one is for you, Councilwoman. That's more the one on collection. You always ask why that was there. And I'm waiting for the court administrator to come back to remove that, because that number right there, it doesn't indicate people on probation. They're not on probation. So for me, I think that number should be added there, but I can't just remove it without getting permission from the court administrator. So once she comes back, we'll figure out where we're gonna put that number.
And that's people that owe money to the city.
It is, but we'll put it, we'll still keep it. We'll keep it somewhere different so it doesn't confuse our numbers. So right there, it's letting you know that currently we have 4 probation officers and they each have 106 cases. So given the expected decrease in the total caseload in July of 2026 to 230, the department is expected to reduce 1 probation officer at the end of 2026. So that's resulting in 3 probation officers with a caseload of 79 each. So we move on. I did all these projections, just trying to project towards the end of the year. So, and you guys got to remember, these are projections. Hopefully at the end of the second quarter in 2026, we can come back and revisit this, make sure everything is right in line on what I'm giving. At the end of 2026, the caseload is expected to decrease to 146, and another probation position will be reduced, resulting in 2 probation officers remaining in the department with a caseload of 73 each. And then on the last slide, it's just recapping everything that I just went over real quick. With the 2008, 306 cases are in collection, leaving the 1,648. The estimated numbers of active DV cases in probation are projected to decrease to 119 by the end of 2026. And with that, that's where we come up with the decrease of 2 probation officers. This time I can take any questions that you might have.
You know, we had talked about last time about cases that are really old. Have those been dropped off?
They haven't been totally dropped off, but our team is working on that. So our I team is going through and vetting all the cases right now. I know they got some cases in there, and I think I've seen 2 or 3 that were 10 years old. So I think they're going to get with Candace and Jason and maybe even Pete, and they're going to discuss this, how we can eliminate a bunch of that.
So what would you say over the past year or so has been the most outstanding thing that your department has been able to accomplish?
Well, I mean, for court administration, I would say using our video court. I know you had an opportunity to come over there and walk with me and see how we converted a pod over in detention to video court. So that's going to help us with not transporting people from Arapahoe, with collaboration with Arapahoe. We're able to see more people on video instead of bringing them in and, you know what, them getting upset that we're dragging them out here for something very small. It's a lot easier to do it on video. So I use that example because it's a collaboration with the whole court administration and including the judicial side, because the judges are on board with this too. Even the public defenders. I mean, when we first started this, it was kind of a struggle to get them used to using the video and the why we were doing it. But right now, I think everything is running perfectly. I haven't had any complaints that I can talk about. But other than that, I think that's a huge lift that we've done. I've been here for 2.5 years, and we really implemented this maybe a year and a half ago. And since this has been in place, it's been outstanding.
Okay, good. So, so on the misdemeanor DV cases, you can, so let's say somebody's arrested. In fact, I was doing a ride along where somebody was arrested last weekend. And what the officer thought was that he was not the lead officer on the case. He was doing backup. And so the lead officer arrested an individual, took them to detention to be processed. And what I thought was going to occur at the time is once after being processed, that they were going to be shuttled over to Arapahoe County jail. But what you're saying is they could do a video conference, and then there would be, like, Judge, I don't know when we have weekend court, is that Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday, but when we have holidays, we do utilize Saturday afternoons as well.
Okay, so, and this is arrested on Saturday, would see, kept overnight, but they would see a judge on Sunday, and then probably bond them.
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a requirement that they have to see a judge within 48 hours
Okay.
of being arrested. For the specific situation, Mayor, that you're talking about with our domestic violence cases being transferred to state court, they are getting transported over to the county to see the judge or the state. And so they're not being videoed at our detention center. What I think the chief is referring to is for municipal defendants. They're being seen the very next day, next business day, by video, which substantially increases the security and efficiency of the court. And I think that's what the chief is referring to. But for those TV cases, they are being transported over to the county jail, and they'll be seen by a state judge within that 48-hour requirement. So we're not doing video for the state at our detention center, at least at this point. There's reasons why, because they have pretrial services and evaluation pretrial services. They have to be accessible and seen by the state public defender's office. And so they have to be at a state facility, which would be the county jail. So it's a good question.
Okay.
And so having the video court appearances remotely, you're saying it decreases the amount of risk to the officers and to those being prosecuted and the travel time and expense and all of that, which has been significant. Can you qualify about probably off the top of your head, the savings to us as a result of that?
Give you that number right now because you got to remember, I mean, I think this happened at the perfect time. With us being able to do that, but our DV's going away, we still got to transport every DV that comes in to these counties. So our transports are really starting to pick up. I know Mark talked about, you know, what APD is doing an outstanding job with these arrests. So you got to remember, everything is starting to pick up on our end too. So with a collaboration with the marshal's office, as well as detention, we're kind of transporting 24 hours a day now. So it's a big old circle. So
So
everything is
we
picking up.
transport, they don't come get them, we take them.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's,
I'm sorry, they come and get them?
No,
we take
Oh,
them,
we take them.
we take them, okay. That's, okay. Thanks for that clarification.
Thank you.
I thought maybe they came and got them, but no, okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I think the decision was, I think, you know, per city manager and CA Schulte, that we'll still go through the process for a DV arrest of coming to our detention center. They'll be booked and processed at our detention center and then transported over to the county jail from there. It's the 18th, 17th, now the 23rd. So we're doing those transports. It saves APD the time, and there can be substantial time for transporting the individual directly to the county jail. You can imagine driving up to Brighton, Castle Rock potentially, or down to Arapahoe County, and going through their booking process. So I think the decision was, for efficiency reasons in time, getting officers back on the street, that we would still do the booking process at our detention center.
Okay.
Yeah, and those transport requirements we had prior to the move of misdemeanor DVs to the courts. I mean, our detention folks were already transporting folks because whether we booked them in for a felony or we booked them in and then determined that they had an outstanding warrant in, you know, another county. So then our detention folks have, even again, before the change in DVs, were routinely transporting prisoners to other to jails.
Okay.
We've also been talking with the sheriffs about how can we collaborate, you know, with our staff here at the city, with the county staff, figure out if there's a way to limit the time that our folks are, when they drive over to the county jails, when they're waiting in line to book people in. Is there something that we can do locally? And Jason and I have been talking, they've kind of stalled out because we're looking to see where the systems go at the municipal court. But once that happens, I think there can be some real collaboration over there that literally it would be taking the individuals to the county jail, then in the system would just be a change of location. It wouldn't be rebooking them in at the county jail. It would just be, hey, we're kind of a subset of the county jails of the detention facility. When they transfer them, it's just walking them in, doing the change of location, and they're done. So working on that is just trying to get the computer systems to talk, and I'm excited about that. We just got to get over the finish line.
Do we do outside transfer to or the video call? The cases from outside of state, do we
So
transfer?
extradition, do we do it? That would be an extradition, but we do not
County
do
do that.
extradition.
No.
Yeah, it's
Any more
strictly
questions, Mayor?
by statute.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
All right. That takes us to our public safety action plan update. You're up, Mr. Bachelor.
All right, so on the item first is staffing. This first one just kind of shows you the assignments by each of the different specialty units and patrols. So go through those numbers of questions there. The next one is a little more detail. You heard a little bit from Chief Hildebrand in terms of the academy classes, but you can kind of see where each of those are. We have our graduation for 2B here at November 20th. So they'll graduate and then go into field training, including field training at the end of February. And then, as you heard from Chief Hildebrand, our next basic class would start in January. We're hoping that's 30 to 40. We'll see what those numbers are.
One thing to add, you saw in there 205 on patrol right now. I think we bid 216, 219, depending on how you look at it. Well, we bid on patrol last year. This year, we're hoping to bid 230. So that's an increase on patrol. You'll see additional officers, but we're also at the same time trying to build back up some of those units that have suffered to maintain patrol staffing. So it's a balancing, but you'll see more patrol officers.
What's the philosophy? So we do the graduation after the academy, but I think sometimes that the attrition rate at FTO is no different than the attrition rate at the academy. Might be a little bit less, but probably percentage wise might be the same. And so what's the philosophy behind not waiting till after FTO to have somebody get promoted? Well, I guess they have to get sworn officer to be an FTO.
Yeah, I think it just makes sense with the oath and everything. They're out there enforcing the laws, and it's, we have talked about, like, should we do something at the end of FTO? And this comes up with laterals too, and how we actually do that. But I think with the oath is a main part of that, graduating from the academy.
Well, I'm happy to see we'll have more guys out on the street because it's very interesting. I've noticed that, particularly with our PAR units on the weekends, they know the PAR units aren't active and they're not out. And that's when I see, we have issues on the weekends. Is there any thought to increasing weekend PAR activity or shifting the shifts, if that makes sense, so that we have some more weekend coverage?
Right now, our PAR units are depleted. That's another thing we're building in. If our attrition numbers stay what they are come March, when we get another academy out, our intention is to hopefully increase those numbers a little bit. And as we increase those numbers, we can start exploring coverage. But what I will say is there is a reason why during the week they're on. It's because that's when most of the business owners are there. That's when most people that they're interacting with are requesting their services and their help during the week. So there is, now we do have additional coverage on the weekend. They'll work overtime, things like that. But that's something we'll explore, not right now, but probably once our numbers start to increase in our PAR unit, probably throughout next year, and saying, do we, look at our coverage? Is there benefits to, but it's going to be data driven. We're going to look at when the requests are coming in, it's just like apartment managers. Most of them work during the week and they're interacting with our PAR. So if they're not there during the week and they can't get a hold of them, we'll get the complaint the other way. That way they're there on the weekends. We're not there on the weekends,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is, give and take with that.
Yep. Understood. Anything?
So that's it on the first one. The training's also in there. So we're going to scroll through that. On the second item is our crime stats. I think you got a really in-depth update from Chief Hildebrand earlier. So any questions on our crime numbers? Okay.
Happy with the crime numbers.
Third section is our youth violence. So I see Jessica over there, so she can give you an update on our youth violence efforts.
Yes, please.
Sure. So as indicated on here, we did 16 custom notifications. And this past month, again, those are our weekly Wednesdays where we knock doors and talk to folks. The mayor came out last week and observed that process. And then tonight we actually have one of our call-ins where we're bringing in folks connected to gun violence that are youth. and adults. And so we're hopeful to have a good group tonight for that process. We're going to be doing these quarterly. The last one we had was in September. Last week, we hosted a governing board meeting where we had kind of executive level from all of the law enforcement and partner agencies that participate in the program. That being, you know, representation from the 17th and 18th, from public health departments, from school districts, those kinds of folks, and had a successful discussion and check-in there. So the program just continues to grow and is working well at this point. And obviously you heard the gun violence reduction numbers earlier. Obviously this program doesn't attribute fully to those, but is a component.
I was gonna say, I was very impressed with the meeting we had here last week. And that fact that probation was here. Unfortunately, I think parole was virtual, and it would have been nice to have that person here. But I felt that we were getting much better understanding between ourselves and section one and the probation people in the 18th and 17th judicial. So I'm not.
Anything else, Jessica?
Nope, not on this.
All right.
So then speaking of that, we'll roll into our next one, on our crisis response teams, and mobile response teams. You guys see the numbers there in terms of what, those units are doing, in terms of those, referrals as well as case management. Again, I think really, I like the success stories that they provide every month on those. So you guys want any additional?
Only quick update there is we are in the RFP process for selection of our clinician. We've currently had UC Health for a couple of years. That relationship's been going well. Just as part of our regular purchasing requirements, we have to put that out every couple of years. We received 4 responses. The deadline was the end of last week, and so we'll be reviewing those. And we will be interviewing them and bringing forth a new contract for clinicians starting in January. Currently, it's UC Health, and they applied again, and then we had 3 others apply. They have, yeah. I mean, there's attrition and vacancy as things come up, but they've been very diligent about keeping them filled and working well with us.
Nationwide and across the metro region, getting licensed clinicians, you know, it is a challenge, but they've done a good job providing those. We had the question here, so there's 8 clinicians because we have 5 units for CRT and we have 3 for MRTs and 8.
I believe so,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, okay.
Great.
Okay. And then on our final 5th area is on our homeless numbers. Again, you can kind of see the numbers in terms of abatements, broken out by month, and then by ward, as well as our street outreach, obviously with the navigation campus opening in earnest on the 17th. We're looking for continued efficiencies and making sure that we're leveraging the full, power of the system that we're putting in place. So Jessica, any updates on that one?
Not really, just we're excited to, get the 109 folks that have been staying on average at the Day Resource Center every night. Those will automatically be transitioned over to the navigation campus. And then obviously our street outreach teams are working on getting folks transported and referred over to the Day Resource Center. Will continue with our abatement efforts. And through a grant from the state, we have 2 additional street outreach workers for about a year on with us as variable hour employees that are augmenting the team. So that'll really help nicely with this transition to the navigation campus. We did a public open house last night. There was over 200 people that showed up for it. Many partner agencies that are very excited about partnering with the navigation campus. And we're excited to be able to provide services there and then also make.
It was really great. I was at the ribbon cutting last with the mayor and the governor, lieutenant governor and others. It was really, I have to say, Jessica, when I went 6 weeks ago and saw this, when we went, I was like, "Woo, are you guys gonna be able to make this work?" And then we go and it's just sparkling and beautiful and it's so impressive. I'm very, just talking to the staff and the folks who are going to be manning the navigation campus. So impressed with their ideas and the pergola that was built by one of the residents, or not residents, one of the recipients of the program, and just seeing, it gives me hope for what Aurora is doing. We're stepping out of the mold and doing something different that helps people. And the Heart Court will be now located at can you speak to that, Judge?
Yeah, our first session will be on the 10th. We're excited about having an office there, on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, so that we can meet people where they're at, which is important to keep with that engagement. That's the most important part of the program, is that continuous engagement. So we're gonna have an office there with one of our navigators on site. We'll be doing all the court sessions on site, again, so that it's kind of the one-stop shop, right? That has been the vision of that campus the entire time. So we're excited to be out there. We're getting things set up, and the first session should be December the 10th.
Fantastic. I think the biggest barrier is transportation. Would you agree? If you have to go from one place to another. So now we've got mental health service, clinician services, court services, job services, all the things. We have all the things in one place to enable people to be good stewards of their lives and decide to make a choice. I mean, Chantal's story, the program director, her story was nothing short of phenomenal, to see someone who fought for her life and decided she wanted to change, and then to have all the tools and the things in place to help her do that. I think it's nothing short of an amazing accomplishment. So well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Anything else, Mayor? Okay.
So that's the update on the public safety action plan.
Wow. Well, I have to say, the past year that we've been on this committee, we've done quite a bit of work. And I just this is just a tad off script, but I want to ask Judge, I'll start with you since you were last one. What is the biggest accomplishment that you could say has been completed over the past year?
Oh, boy.
I know it's a loaded question, but
Yeah.
can you name one I know there's like 20 or 30, but maybe pick one that stands out.
Besides the day in and day out work that we do at the court, I think, what's the quote? George Washington, the due administration of justice is the firmest pillar of good government, right? So that's pretty true for the work that we do when we're at the court day in and day out. To try to pick one thing, clearly I think all of our problem-solving courts, our specialty programs that we have with our court, have been huge for our community. The build out and implementation of the HARP program with the help and support of the mayor and city council, backing that particular program. We're excited to see where this can go. It's growing every single week. I mean, we're getting more and more people signed up and engaged with the program. And so we're really, really excited to see where this can go with the collaboration of all the departments with the city, to see where we can take this program. So that's probably the thing that comes to mind within the last year and a half. It's the build out of those programs. We're being recognized not only here within the state for our specialty programs, but even nationally. We've got an interview from a program or from a magazine out of DC, Arlington area about our Armed Forces Treatment Court. They heard about it, they wanted to talk about it, and they put us in their magazine. So there's mention of our program in that national magazine. So, all of those programs are probably what come to mind, but it's, again, the day in and day out work that we do and serving our community members when, somebody finds themselves just involved in all the work that we do within the courthouse.
Thanks, Judge,
Thanks
for
for
all
the
the work.
question.
We appreciate it. So I'm going to you now, Pete.
Oh, goodness.
No, goodness.
Put me on the spot. But I have things to say. One of the greatest things I think that we have been able to accomplish in my first year as city attorney Man, it's been more than a year, but I hope that our public safety personnel and our employees and all of our city understand that they're going to be defended, right? We are not going to write checks just to make things go away. We are going to litigate. We have moved in 95% of our cases back into the city attorney's office. So there's not going to be this argument that it's cheaper to settle than it is to pay our outside counsel on these cases. And I think I'm talking with the chiefs. I think that that's resonating, I hope, through your personnel that, you know, we are defending. We're going to fight back. I mean, this is, you know, you're all doing your jobs. You're doing it honorably. Now, with that being said, you know, as I've told you guys, I will settle cases that need to settle, but I will fight cases that need to be fought. And so I've been very pleased with how that has happened, and I congratulate my team for all the efforts that they've done. Other things is we have kind of become the public safety team here. The public safety committee have been bringing common sense legislation to the state house to help that are, you know, issues that are affecting our citizens and getting things that are done. You know, registration, for example. I mean, that is a big deal, right? Trying to get us to be able to enforce that more. And of course, early on, I with the partnership with the judiciary, obviously separate, where, you know, I'm not saying, but with the tools that we have, the problem properties that we had that hit me like a freight engine when I first started with the 5068 Nome and Edge at Lowry and those issues early on in my tenure. I was very proud that we were able to get those shut down and do what we need to do. And I'm looking forward to the next year.
So I'm going over to you now, Chief Otten. I know you said some really great things in your reporting, but is there anything additionally that you would like to add in your tenure and our tenure here that we've accomplished over this past year?
I think probably the light speed with which we got council support for stations 18 and 19. When I did the media day during my interview process back in January of 23, my quick assessment of the organization is that we were about 5 fire stations behind the footprint of the city. And so, you know, with the support of the city manager really digging in and the support of council being able to get both stations 18 and 19 planned and 18 in the budget, 19 in the pro forma, you know, that really helped improve response times. That went from 0 to 100, largely because of the support of city management and our elected body. And obviously in response to community feedback and data, you know, and I think that was really important. So that's a pretty significant accomplishment. And without support really from all the areas, that's impossible to accomplish. And so I think that's probably the biggest. You know, we've done a lot of things, as you're well aware. We've presented here on several things, from the reestablishment of the Community Medical Services Branch to the Right Response Program, all of which helped us use our resources more efficiently and really lead the way instead of lagging in innovation around community care. So, you know, those are important. But I think probably the most significant accomplishment has been the addition of the stations and the impact that's going to have on the community that's kind of in what I call the frontier of the city, where it's growing and is, you know, and need to be able to serve all of the areas of our community equitably. And I think it really helps us do that.
And finally, you, Chief.
Thank you. And before I go into mine, just to piggyback on what Pete said, we just, for the first time, in my entire career, we just made a video socializing out to the department some successes that your office had in getting some federal cases dismissed early on in the process. 3 pivotal cases that were dismissed. And I shared those cases on a video with members of the department so they can see the hard work that's happening within our city attorney's office and the defense that's coming to them as officers of the department and to the department itself and to the city. And I think that goes in line with what I think the biggest success is, an accomplishment is just the health of our organization, the police department, where we're at, the progress that we made, the growth, and how we're operating. And it kind of shows that when you have a healthy organization where people want to come to work, they want to, impact the community in a positive way, you start to see things like, crime reduction. You'll start to see your recruitment becoming better, your attrition decreasing, arrests going up, being able to keep our use of forces where there's not some indications of, malice or wrongdoing. It's normal, a normal amount of use of forces for the work that we're doing, because you're going to have use of forces. There's no way of getting away from it. People are going to be non-compliant, but are there any indications in those use of forces that something's wrong that you need to address? And we're doing a really good job of collecting data, analyzing that data now with our Office of Constitutional Policing, how we're analyzing that data so we can make real-time adjustments to processes and procedures. And we're collecting that data, and we're data-driven. We're evidence-based in the way that we're policing, so there's not bias in the way we do business, and our use of technology. And this goes to the support of city management. This goes to the support of council. We couldn't have done any of these things without that, whether it's an MOU or initiative or certain technologies we want to use. Having council support, having city management support is so crucial in getting these positive outcomes. I mean, you look at we just did a press conference, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, of a shooting we had up on I-225. And the reason we were able to find that offender so quickly is just the use of our flock system, having that technology, our real-time crime center, being able to backtrack and find the victim's path of travel and identify the suspect. We had really nothing to go on at that point. We immediately identified that suspect and got that suspect off the street within a matter of days. And that makes our community safer. And I think we want to continue that growth and progress as we move into 2026 and keep that momentum going. And, having your support, city management support is crucial to that endeavor.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. And I just want to take, do you have anything to add?
Oh, no, thank you.
I wanted to take just a little bit of liberty, as this might be my last public safety committee meeting, and Councilmember Kassaw's last meeting. We're proud to have served on this committee. And over the past 2 years, I've served on this committee, and we've seen significant improvements across all of our public safety departments. And I thank each and every one of you for your contributions and what you have conscientiously contributed, and the partnerships that I definitely see between all of us working together. Because at the end of the day, we have been hired to serve this community, and that should be first and foremost in our mind. I'm not talking about political ideology or any of those things, whether you voted for me or not, whether you like it or not. We here at this city, our primary focus, our primary agenda is to serve the community in which we have the honor and the privilege to represent. I think it is important for us to continue to tell our story and not allow others to tell our story. We need to use, to your point, Chief, data, statistics, actual facts, because facts are what they are. They're facts. They don't lay on left or right. They are what they are. And for us as public servants, we remember who we work for. And that should be top of mind every single day. Our municipal court system has stood up the hard court. That is amazing, because it's not about punitive measures. It's about helping people who've made mistakes, who fall down and get back up. And it's giving them the opportunity to use the systems that we have in place to help them if they want help, so they can be stewards of their own lives, good stewards. The navigation campus, we're doing something that nobody else is doing. We're holding people accountable. We're partnering with all the agencies to give people supports that they need so that they can be productive citizens. And that's the thing that we miss sometimes. Citizenship is not a one-sided deal. You have to be active, you as a person. And if everything that you lose, you still have the agency of your own body, of your own life. And so when you decide in your heart and in your mind that I'm going to move forward and I want help, there's help. It's not, either you do this or you do that. We'll give you a home and food, but we're not going to help you with any of the mental health or substance abuse things that you have going on. Or we're just going to punish you, and we're not going to give you any help with those substance abuse or homelessness issues, or the things that put you on the street in the first place, that cause you to think that crime is something that is an option for you. We want people to know that in the city of Aurora, We have standards that we will uphold. If you come here, you're gonna have a problem if you're gonna do crime. That's what I want the message to be promoting here, that Aurora is a safe city. It's a prosperous city. It's a growing city. We have so much potential. There is so much that we can do. And as we all partner together, not operate in silos, but operate in partnership, that we can take this city and it can be the gold standard of how municipalities are run. This is what we should all be striving for, in service to our community and service to each other, because ultimately we all rise or fall together. And so I thank you all for this opportunity to serve on this committee. I thank you for all the hard work that you put in. And I thank you for all your respective leaderships, even though somebody may never know who you are, what your name is, your impact is being felt and it's being noticed and it's known. So with that, I'm done with my speech. Do we have any miscellaneous matters for consideration for next meeting?
I would just like to recognize Mark Hayes, who's here. As you're aware, last Friday, Deputy Chief Rod Weber retired after 3 decades with the department. And after a competitive process that included both internal and external panel members, Mark was selected to be our Deputy Chief, and he'll stay over community operations. So just like to
Congratulations, congratulations. Thank you. I don't know when our next meeting is. I believe we will be taking December off. It will be in December. So I wish everyone we have a lot to be thankful for this month. Thanksgiving gets a bad rap. You know, people go from Halloween. I'm already seeing Christmas trees up and I'm really annoyed by that.
What's wrong with that?
It should be a Thanksgiving tree if you're gonna put one up. But, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you for all that you do, and we are adjourned.